And, like, if the Bills knock their draft out of the park and the Chiefs don't, like, the Bills might jump them. And if the Chiefs nail their draft and the Bills don't, the Chiefs might be able to just pull away from Buffalo. So I think for the Chiefs, like, that's where this really, we could talk about which position do they take and what are they going to do. And listen, all that is totally legitimate and everything else. But that, I think, really is the bigger, like, long-term part of this. We could, in a week's time, we're going to know who the Chiefs took. We're going to know who the Bills took. We're going to know everybody in the league took.
Yeah.
Like, did you get better or did you waste the opportunities?
It's that football show here on KC Sports Network. Tucker Franklin hanging out with Matt Verderame. Thank you to our sponsors, Ben Holiday, Bottled in Bond Bourbon, for sponsoring this here program. I am pleased to be joined once again on this wonderful Saturday edition with Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I'm fine. Hanging out, getting ready for Easter Sunday. We're hosting.
Yeah, big weekend.
So that'll be interesting. Yep, should be good. Going up to Milwaukee on Saturday for a little Brewers A's action. I'm actually writing a story for SI on the Brewers, so I'm going up there. I've never written anything for SI that didn't involve the NFL.
Yeah,
but I just know a lot of the Brewers, like, top people are from Kansas City.
Interesting.
So a lot of them are Chiefs fans. I actually got to know them that way. And then so now it's like, I actually was at a game with them last year where we all went when they played the Buccaneers. But in any event, so that's Saturday. I'm going to be working on a piece on the Brewers and then hanging out while I'll stay for the game. And then Sunday, got Easter. Just some good stuff. What do you got going on? You going anywhere for the holiday? You just kind of hanging out?
No, we're staying local for Easter. It's WrestleMania weekend as well. So great timing by the WWE.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Build hasn't been as good as the last year, but also it's a little bit later than in years past too. Usually it's like the first weekend in April, and now, like, it's really late. It's butting up against the draft here. But I do think that we're not really doing a whole lot, just kind of keeping it chill, keeping it low key, just going to a couple family houses. We don't do a whole lot for Easter, just get together, hang out. But yeah, they're doing WrestleMania on the Saturday before Easter and the Easter Sunday.
Wow.
That is an interesting choice for the WWE. So I'll kind of be just chilling in this here man cave down here, watching some wrestling all by my lonesome, because I know damn well Tara's not gonna be watching wrestling with me. She's like, that's stupid, which, like, it is, but, like, it tickles my brain in a way that I do enjoy it.
And WWE doesn't care about Jesus. That's a headline. I am not a wrestling guy. I've never been. Although I will say I watched the McMahon documentary on Netflix, which was very interesting.
Yeah.
I will say, though, and this is about the extent of my wrestling knowledge, I still, every time I can find this clip on YouTube and watch it, I bust out laughing. And it's from the Igloo in Pittsburgh, Hell in a Cell, when was it Mankind there? Just gets launched off the top of the cage, right to a table. It's unbelievable. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Like, dude just gets thrown like 25 feet through a table and somehow gets up.
Right. Like, they were like, oh my gosh, he cannot continue after this, as they were like taking him out. He gets back up, goes to the top of the cage again, and then gets thrown through the cage. That was not supposed to happen. He was not supposed to fall. That one was an accident. He wasn't supposed to fall through the cage. Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. That era of wrestling is a little too much for me. I'm not big into the hardcore wrestling type stuff.
If we still were doing that, I'd watch.
Interesting.
Like, if there was an opportunity for somebody to be maimed for life during the match,
yeah,
I might tune in. I don't know if this is about me, but I might tune in.
There was a match that took place in AEW, which is another wrestling promotion opposite of the WWE, where Jon Moxley took one of those, like, baseball bats with nails in it. He took one of those to the back, and it stuck in his back.
That's not good.
It was a nasty picture. I watched it live and I was like, oh my gosh, You got
That's
to
not
go
good.
get a tetanus shot.
Yeah. I had a buddy who used to have a bat like that in his car. He used to drive around with it because
That's insane.
he
That
worked
is
he worked in a bad area in New York City at night building bridges. He called it the Peacemaker. They
yeah.
got the Peacemaker in the back. It's like, okay.
Did he make it himself?
Uh
Or did he
that's
buy
a
it
good
like that?
question. I don't know. I would imagine he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing is he's about the nicest guy you could ever meet. But he was like, yeah, got the Peacemaker. I won't go into full detail on this show for a variety of reasons. He had some wild stories for when he
I'm
was working
sure.
on the old Willis Avenue Bridge down in the Bronx. I mean,
Yeah.
he'd call you at like 2 a.m., but you won't believe what just happened. But sure I will. I've been down to the Bronx at night. I can believe it.
Yeah.
You know, like if you go to Wrigley Field and you go to bars around Wrigley, they're all
Right.
really nice. If you go to bars around Yankee Stadium, at least all Yankee Stadium, maybe in the new one, maybe it's changed things. I remember one time I was probably about 13. I'm driving on the road right next to it. Maybe it was like 161st. And I was with my dad, and I'm looking in these bars, and the doors are like propped open, and there is no furniture, none. It's just a room with a bar and a couple TVs above the bar. I
Yeah.
was like, "What the hell?" He's like, "Well, they broke all the furniture over each other." And it's like, right, they just stopped replacing the furniture because people just wail it at each other.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're done now. We're
Yeah.
done. Everybody can just stand and watch the game.
Right.
And
Lost your table privileges. Lost your seat privileges.
yeah. And I was like, that's fitting. You go to Chicago, nice Midwestern town. Everybody's sitting there. I don't care what the national narrative is. It's a nice place. And everybody goes, watch the game. And like, oh, you're rooting for the Cardinals. Oh, that's nice. Are you from St. Louis? Meanwhile, Yankee Stadium's like, are you rooting for the Red Sox? Yeah. Well, you're getting thrown off the upper deck.
Yeah. We're going to have to kill you.
Yeah, that'll teach you to show up.
Yeah.
Like it's such a different mentality. Like even when they're playing somebody who's not a rival, here, I know it's that football show, but before we segue into it, I went to a game years ago. Yankees and Phillies played in the World Series. I think it was 09. The Yanks beat them. The next year, they played an interleague series at the stadium. And so I went with a couple buddies of mine. None of us were Yankees or Phillies fans. We're like, hell, we'll just go. It was Holiday and Sabathius. We're like, well, we'll watch the game. Well, because Philly's only like a 3-hour ride.
Right.
The Phillies bust a bunch of fans up there. And so like we're like 4 sections over from this section that is like all red. And again, we're not no dog in the fights. I could care less. But of course, all these Yankee fans are screaming at these Phillies fans, oh, you guys suck. We've beaten the World Series. It's getting more and more contentious, and it's batting practice. Like we're not even into the game yet, right? So now it gets serious because like a couple drunk fans on each side are like super antagonistic to the other side. And this woman who is, I'm assuming from Philadelphia, but was with the Phillies crowd, starts like really aggressively getting in some guy's face. And at this point, NYPD walks up there, not some usher, like a legitimate NYPD officer walks up and is like, all right, listen, like we know this is going to be a shit show. We get it. But like, you can't put your hands on somebody. You can't push them. Like, let's just enjoy the game, blah, 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 blah. And this guy is trying everything. He's a young police officer, everything he can to get the woman back into her seat, get back into her row. Yep. She's screaming, her boyfriend's screaming, her husband, whatever he was. Long story short, this goes on for about 10 minutes. And this guy, you can tell, is running out of patience. And now the ushers are involved, and she's 3 sheets to the wind. And finally, she just goes, if I don't go back to my seat, what are you going to do about it, pig? And I was like, oh, my God. Like, this is it. And the guy's like, you know what I'm going to do about it? Bzz, taser right into the side.
Let's go.
And she went down, and she just rolled down like 30 steps. And everybody in the upper deck of the stadium, you would have thought the Yankees won the World Series. Like, yeah. She's down like the bottom of the thing. Like, get her out of here. Put her in the drunk tank. Of course, at this point, she's got like jello legs. She can't walk. She's got 1,000 volts to her hip.
Right, yeah.
The boyfriend's like, I'll catch up with you later, babe. I'm going to watch the game. It's awesome. I couldn't even tell you who won. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I think the Yanks won, but who cares? It's society won that day. We got to watch somebody get tasered and go down 30 steps.
Justice was served.
Nobody got in the way to stop her fall. Not one human being was like, let me grab her 5 steps in. It was like watching. You ever watch Price is Right? Like when they drop the Plinko ball?
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's bouncing around those pegs. That's what it was like, except everyone's screaming for death as she's just rolling down. And you're like, all right, well, you know what? You kind of, listen, I'm never for violence, but you kind of had it coming.
Yeah.
He tried to help you for like 15 minutes, and you just wouldn't let it go. You're like, all right, I don't. At that point, it was fair enough, but it was great. It was great because it had gotten so much attention during batting practice. Everybody was watching it, and then that happened. There was just an explosion of roars. Like, yeah, good. I hope she can't get up. Ah!
It is always good to see people have to deal with the consequences of their actions, right? Like, I think that is always very gratifying.
Yeah.
And to segue this into what we want to talk about today, I want to talk about a guy who is seeing the ramifications of his actions, seeing the consequences. Aaron Rodgers, and this has to do with like the AFC, right? I think we can talk a little bit about what Aaron Rodgers decided he was just going to go on Pat McAfee show. What was that? Thursday? He did that Thursday. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to hop on here and be a white knight in shining armor, saying everyone's out to get me, and oh, woe is me. Everyone was so mean to me. I offered to play for less money. I only offered to pay for $10 million, Matt, but they wouldn't give me, but they didn't want that. It wasn't about the money. I only wanted $10 million. They were so mean to me when they asked me to leave. But this is going to like kind of lead into our conversation kind of about the teams in the AFC and how the AFC is looking heading into the draft, right? Because the biggest teams for Aaron Rodgers, well, the biggest team, I should say, is the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. Kind of what are they? Will he, won't they type of deal with Aaron Rodgers as it's been for the last God knows however many years with Aaron Rodgers, really, when it comes down to it. But Aaron Rodgers goes on Pat McAfee and just says that he trashes the Jets. He says that he's not in it for the money. He'll only pay for $10 million. I had somebody respond to me on Twitter and be like, "Oh, why is he getting crap for this?" It's like, do you hear what he's saying? Do you hear what he's saying? That's why he's getting crap for it, because he's saying, "Oh, I'll only play for $10 million. I said I'd play for $10 million. Like, okay, if money's not an issue, play for 3. Play for vet men. I don't know. How do you feel about this whole Aaron Rodgers situation? I feel like it's been a whole lot of nothing.
Not because this isn't really the point, but isn't he getting money from the Jets because they released him?
Probably. Let me
So
check.
so he makes it out like it's some big bar. If I'm not mistaken, the Jets are paying him a bunch of money this year. Like most guys would play for the vet minimum somewhere else. But anyway,
correct.
So you can check on that. I don't want to be wrong, but I think that's the case, unless there's some weird language in his contract. Look, that being said, I just don't care anymore where he goes. I don't care. I don't know that most Steelers fans care. He's not good anymore. He's a guy. He's not bad. He's not terrible. I'm not trying to make it out like he's Kenny Pickett, okay? But he's not good. I watched the Jets, I don't know, 10 times last year. He's not good. He's not good. If you took a cut up of his best throws last year and watched it, you'd be like, oh, wow, he still got it. And then you watch the games and you're like, yeah, 30 throws, like 4 of them are good. Like the rest of them are just run of the mill. He doesn't hold, look, a lot of it now with him is just get the ball out, make the throw, whatever. And that's fine. Again, I'm not saying he's awful, but like he's just a guy. They're not winning the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers. And also, my big problem with him in general, one of many, is just listen, like, stop going on McAfee and complaining that like the coverage you get's unfair. And my God, can we please stop talking about COVID? Can we please stop? It was half a decade ago.
Right.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't want to hear about it. I'm super sorry for anybody obviously who's been affected by it with COVID. I get it. I'm not saying don't like care about like the result of it. But, like, my God, man. Like, it doesn't have to be brought up every time you're on air. And then on top of that, like, I really don't care about like, oh, the Jets made me fly cross country. You got a house out there.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what? You know as well as I do, that's such a catch-22. Because if they had done it over the phone, he'd have complained that they did it over the phone. Well, they didn't even have the guts to say it to my face.
Yep.
It's like they brought you out there. They said it to your face. By the way, I'm all in now on the Jets. Like, who are just like, let's fly him out here to tell him we're done with him.
Yep.
Like, all right. I mean, I'm not really in on the Jets. Woody Johnson still exists. But I'm in on Aaron Glenn, who brought him all the way out there to just be like, get out.
That's a good way to put it. In on Aaron Glenn. Yeah.
That's like flying your girlfriend cross country, just big, we're done, and then just leaving the room. Like, it's a big power move. But no, listen, he's not a bad player. He's certainly a starting quarterback. All those things are true. But after a while, it's like, man, you're just exhausting. I don't care what your stances are. Like, I genuinely don't. I don't care how you feel about everything going on in the world. Like, and he's got a right to say how he feels. Like, that's fine. I don't mind it. But then don't complain about everything all the time. And it's like, well, I don't know if I want to retire. Well, fucking figure it out. Make a decision. Like, how hard is this? Like, you've now had, since the end of the season, almost 4 months. What decision in your life has taken you more than 4 months? I mean, this is not difficult, man. I'm assuming. I mean, he's not a dumb person. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine he's got money.
Yeah.
Like, he seems to have his health. If you want to retire, you got nothing to prove. You've won 4 MVPs. You're a Super Bowl champion. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer, rightfully so. Like, if you want to walk away and go live your life, God bless, man. But stop just sitting here and it's like, I don't know. Let me go on McAfee and tell everybody how I don't know for 15 minutes. You're like, and then I'm on air a list of grievances. Pick. I got to tell you, if I was Pittsburgh, I'd be like, you've got till Wednesday.
Right.
And if you don't make a decision, we're done. We're drafting a quarterback, and that's the end of it.
Well, here's the thing. Teams have started to make the decision for him. Like the Giants were like, well, we're not going to wait for you to do this. Like, we're not going to wait. We're going to sign 2 quarterbacks, and they might draft another one. Who knows? They might. And the Steelers are going to be in the same situation, too, when it goes into the draft of like, hey, that pick number 21 rolls around, and there's a quarterback on the board. They shouldn't hesitate. Even if they do get Aaron Rodgers, I don't think they should hesitate to take a quarterback at pick number 21.
Right.
Because Aaron Rodgers, that's probably a 1-year deal, right? He's probably not signing anything that's more than a 1-year deal when it comes down to him. But yeah, I always think it's very funny too. And this is like they usually say when you're watching film on a player, I'll bring this back. But they say when you're watching film on a player, you know about 4 plays in what your opinion of them is. And then just watching further, you then just kind of confirm what you thought already. It only takes about 4 or 5 plays for you to really be like, okay, I like this guy, or I don't really like this guy, right? And I feel like that happens with a lot of your decisions, right? Like, you know pretty quick what you want to do, but then taking the other time is just like confirming your decision and like confirming your prior of what you want to do. Maybe this says more about me than it does about Aaron Rodgers. I've never taken this long on a decision. But golly, it's been one of those things where it's been long, drawn out, and just an insane process that is holding a team that has a pretty decent roster. I think the Steelers have a pretty decent roster. They're holding them hostage at this point. And leading into the draft, we can kind of take it into that, Matt. When it comes to the AFC and the rest of the AFC, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but now as we are in kind of what feels like the calm before the storm, it doesn't feel like there's a ton going on right now in the NFL, just because I think next week is when stuff is really going to start to ramp up. It feels like the Chiefs are in a good spot in terms of the conference, that they're probably still the best team in the AFC, and it's probably the Ravens and the Bills that are the top 3 teams. You can choose what you want at 2 or 3 there, but you feel pretty good about them. The Bengals defense sucks. I know that's why I hesitate to put them. I hesitate to put them even in the top 3 there. But thoughts on the landscape of the AFC heading into this NFL draft?
All right. So this year in free agency, I feel like there wasn't as much movement. By that I mean like teams getting much better, teams getting much worse in free agency because of the free agency class stunk. I feel like a lot of teams spent money just retaining their own guys. Really, like it kind of feels like status quo. I really feel in the AFC that the 3 teams that are above everybody else are Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore. And I'll tell you right now, I'd put them in that order. Those would be the 3 teams. I am old enough to remember having watched all of New England's 20-year run, okay? And I remember a lot of years where people be like, you know what? I'll take this team. I'll take that team. I'll take this team. And then the season would start. New England would lose a couple games early. And we go, oh, yeah, I told you. And then you get to January, and people had to go up to Foxborough, and you're like, yeah, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
It was like the old Therese Paler, where the phones don't work. You got to go up there. You're like, yeah, you're going to lose. The Chiefs have ascended to that level where it is just like, look, if you've got to go to Arrowhead Stadium for a playoff game, you're probably losing. You're probably going home. Yeah. And if you win, it's going to be because you did in overtime, historically speaking, and because the Chiefs played like crap. I just when I look at the AFC, it's like to your point, the Bengals have an amazing offense or defense. I don't. The Bengals went 9-8, got career years out of Chase and Burrow and Hendrickson, and we're like, you know what? Let's fire around Arumo and do it again. Okay. We just talked about Pittsburgh. The Dolphins, I think, stink. That's just my
Yeah.
I think they're not good. I think the entire South is bad.
Yeah.
And I think Houston's the one like caveat. The problem is Houston, can they block anybody?
I don't think so.
So like I don't know. Like I will give them they're kind of a wild card in there. And then the West, it's like, all right, I think Denver's decent. I think the Chargers are a borderline playoff team. Like the Chargers went out of the season being like, we have got to get a receiver. And then they let Joshua Palmer go and sign Mike Williams. I don't. All right, you're not better. You're worse. You're worse. They also lost guys on defense. Like they're worse. They're worse than they were. They lost Poona Ford. They lost Christian Fulton. They lost Asante Samuel Jr. They lost whatever the hell's left to Joey Bosa. Like they lost all these things. I don't know how much that matters. They lost. I just look at the AFC. I don't think it's that good of a conference.
No.
I think the AFC I honestly would really even if I'm being completely transparent, if you said to me right now, what is the AFC title game? It's the Chiefs and the Bills.
Yeah.
It's probably those two teams again. The Ravens they fill their pants in the playoffs every year. I mean, how many times do I have to watch the movie before you're like, well, this is just how the movie ends?
Yeah.
And like the Ravens, you could argue, my God, nobody's had less change than the Ravens this offseason. I mean, they're basically the exact same team. Patrick McCary left, who's kind of their do-it-all guard tackle piece that they would rotate in. They lost Brandon Stevens, a corner, to the Jets. That's it. They're the exact same team otherwise. And I don't know. Like, are you taking the Ravens to beat Buffalo or Kansas City in a playoff game?
No.
Like, so this draft, to kind of go to circle into the draft now is like, I think that's where the big movement's going to be this offseason.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a free agent. It's going to be for the draft.
The free agency was so interesting this year too. And Matt, we talked about this when free agency was happening. Is a lot of teams, and you brought this up too, spend a lot of money to retain a lot of the guys that were hitting the free agency, right? Like the Chiefs. Even if you just like to look at the Chiefs, they franchise tagged Trey Smith, who was supposed to hit free agency. They re-signed Nick Bolton before free agency started. On the Ravens, Ronnie Stanley was going to be a guy who probably yielded a ton of money on the free agency market, but they were able to retain him before they got to free agency, and a lot of guys were just brought back to the teams. And even if they did hit free agency, they were brought back to the teams that they were originally with. So I do think that that's kind of interesting heading into this season. And free agency class that wasn't necessarily star-studded. I do believe next year's free agency class is a little bit more, there's more headlining names in next year's free agency class, which we could see a little bit more movement. Yeah. But in a class like this, in free agency, in a draft class, it's kind of like this, where again, it's kind of the same thing. There's nothing that's like too sexy. It's a very meat and potatoes draft. Like you're gonna find a lot of good trench guys. You're gonna find a lot of guys probably in the later rounds that have solid NFL careers. There's not a ton of flashy names. Like, yeah, your Travis Hunters, your Cam Wards, your Shadur Sanders, those will all go early. Those might be your names you follow from this draft here, but maybe the best players in this draft are going to be coming in the mid to late rounds, just because of this draft not necessarily having the top end star power names. Like last year's draft, I think was just an incredible draft in terms of the wide receiver talent, the quarterback talent, really even the defensive line talent, the offensive line talent that was there as well. So I do think that there was a lot of talent in last year's draft that maybe doesn't make this draft look as attractive as maybe last year's draft. I do still think that there's good pockets specifically in this draft with certain players at certain positions. But I do think, like, as you mentioned, like this is going to separate those teams at the top of the AFC when it comes down to it. And are the Chiefs going to take a player that the Buffalo Bills want in this draft? I'm going to be very interested to see if the Chiefs do trade up and you get the room reaction from the Buffalo Bills. Also, they shouldn't put that out again if that happens. So, like, yeah, you know what? Let's just hold on to this video of there's a Brandon Beane is out of the GM who's incredibly pissed off that the Chiefs traded up ahead of them and drafted a player that they wanted. Let's not put that video out there.
I think, look, with the draft, we're all missing the point. What we really need to ask ourselves is the seminal question. When the Chiefs trade up with the Bills, who are they going to take?
Yeah.
Because that's really the question that no one's asking, and yet we all know is coming.
The Bills can't pick up the phone, right? Like,
it's like, I always love when people in Buffalo, and I've had people do this to me, like, they'll argue that they somehow won the Mahomes trade. They're like, well, no, like we moved back and got Tre'Davious White and then drafted Allen later on. It's like, yeah, that's nice. When you draft who might be the greatest player of all time when he's done, you lost the trade.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what else you got in it. Like, and like also
Right.
the Allen thing is not part of the trade. Like, you didn't get that pick from the Chiefs. Like, that's
Correct.
It's like I said the other day when you get the Bills fan who's like, well, 2020 and on, and you're like, yeah, you know that he played before that, right? But in any event, and even still, he's still not as good. But in any event, no, look, like the Mahomes thing's bad enough, but then last year you trade and you let the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy, who I think it's fair to say looks like he's going to be a star, and the Bills took Keon Coleman instead of Lad McConkey or instead of Worthy, who they could have taken. And I got to tell you, I don't know that Keon Coleman looks like he's going to be a star. I mean, he might be like a guy who hangs around the league. The problem with Keon Coleman is he runs routes like he's a semi-truck. So,
well, he had a couple funny clips though, Matt. You forgot about that. He did have some funny clips when he got there. Yeah,
great clips. The problem is you're not paid for clips. You're paid to catch a football. And I mean, like Keon Coleman last year at the end of the season, and I actually wrote about this at one point, I believe, for Sports Illustrated. Like, the game log was disgusting. Like, the game log was legitimately one of the more embarrassing things you'll ever see. There was one, I'm going to pull it up real quick. Coleman last year had 29 receptions. So he got hurt. He missed a month between the end of beginning of November and the middle of December. He came back and he had one catch for 64 yards against the Lions. And you're like, okay. And then this happened. One catch on 2 targets for 17 yards. 3 catches on 7 targets for 27 yards. And then this is the one I'll never get over this. 2 catches on 10 targets for 31 yards. And then we went to the playoffs and he had 3 catches on 8 targets for 22 yards total. It's not great. Compare that with Xavier Worthy, who started out like most guys with the Chiefs, a little bit slow, and then just exploded. Where Worthy, in that same time frame, 6 catches on 11 targets, 46 yards. 7 catches on 11 targets, 65 yards. 8 catches on 9 targets, or 79 yards. Then in the playoffs, he led all receivers with receptions, yardage, and touchdowns. 5 catches on 6 targets, 45 yards. 6 catches on 7 targets, 85 yards, and a touchdown. And then the Super Bowl, 8 catches on 8 targets for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Bills willfully gave that player to Kansas City.
Yep.
So that's fine. You take him. He had 59 catches. He had more than double the catches Keon Coleman had. And the Chiefs basically didn't play Worthy for like half a season. They were trying to work in Justin Watson for the 85th straight year. Juju is getting like massive amounts of reps. So that's fine. Just play him.
I forgot to resign Juju. That's good. That's good. He's back. Yeah.
Juju's going to have like one game where he just absolutely explodes like he did with the Saints last year. Like, oh my God. Yeah. It's just dead. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be, look, I just think when you look at the AFC, the big moves and the NFC true as well, I should say, but like the big jump is probably going to be in the draft because there wasn't one really in free agency. And the question is going to become like, we keep talking about how there's not a big difference between pick 15 and pick 75. Like that is true in theory, but within that group of, let's just say those 60 players, there are going to be guys, like there's going to be a big difference once they step on the field. Some of those guys are going to suck. And some of those guys are going to be really good football players. And like if the Bills knock their draft out of the park and the Chiefs don't, like the Bills might jump them. And if the Chiefs nail their draft and the Bills don't, the Chiefs might be able to just pull away from Buffalo. I mean, so I think for the Chiefs, like that's where this really, we could talk about which position do they take and what are they going to do? And listen, all that is totally legitimate and everything else. But that I think really is the bigger, like, long-term part of this. We could, in a week's time, we're going to know who the Chiefs took. We're going to know the Bills took. We're going to know everybody in the league took.
Yeah.
Like, did you get better or did you waste the opportunity? So, like, if you look at the Chiefs, we know where their picks are. Buffalo has the 30th pick. They have 2 second-round picks. They don't have a third-round pick. They have 2 fourths, 3 fifths, 2 sixths. So, they've got plenty of capital. Baltimore, real quick, they have first, second, third, 2 fourths, a fifth, 4 sixths, and a 7. So a lot of late picks, but 3 in the top 100. The Bills have 3 in the top 100. Am I right with that? Yes, the Bills are 3 in the top 100. Chiefs have 4 in the top 100.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chiefs have high-end capital more than those 2 teams. Although the Bills are 2 second rounders, granted. Be very interesting. Very interesting to see how it plays out.
It will, and as you mentioned, we will know by the time we record a podcast. Well, I don't think we're doing a breaking news. I don't think we're doing a Saturday edition of the That Football Show next week, or even a Thursday edition of That Football Show. Maybe we'll squeeze one in before the draft starts. Oh wait, we do Wednesday. So yeah, we'll do a Wednesday edition. We won't do a Saturday. Yeah, we won't do a Saturday just because the drafts will be going on.
Yeah,
and we will not have that. But we'll also be live for the draft, so go check that out. Go stay tuned for that as well. But let's take a break. We got some power rankings coming up, and look, it's that time. It's the hay's in the barn, folks. The hay is in the barn. Not much more that we can talk about when it comes to the draft in this team. So we're gonna get to power rankings coming up right after this. With the 31st pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select.
Let's go! Xavier Worthy coming to the Chiefs in round 1 makes the absolute most sense one could imagine.
As soon as I saw the body type and the way he moves, I'm like, I've seen this too often. Like, I'm just moving away from it. That's why I prefer the guys like Xavier Worthy, because they're going to be open.
How can this team navigate the board to walk away with great value at wide receiver and at tackle?
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Well, check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition. And yeah, that includes prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6. Plus, even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Chiefs.
I did forget to say Chiefs, didn't I?
Tried to help you out there.
I appreciate it.
Oh.
Matt, let's power rank some stuff as we are nearing the end of this here podcast, this here program. Let's power rank some things. You and I kind of waffled back and forth on what we wanted to do, but we decided on the top 5 worst people you know. And now I want to caveat this. This is not specific people.
Here come the relatives now.
No.
Surprise!
This was Matt's way of him being able to power rank his least favorite relatives. Really, that's how he snuck this one in here. But no, top. These are not specific people. These are more, maybe categories of people. Is a good way to put it. Stereotypes of people.
People are gonna realize as we go what we're doing here.
Yeah. Will you lead us off? Show us the direction. Show us your guiding light.
Number 5, overly aggressive guy at the bar. Like just drunk guy, way too much fireball. And I don't mean guy although this guy is this guy I'm about to say be a lot higher than 5. I don't mean the guy who's like aggressively hitting on women and making everybody awkward. I don't mean that. That guy belongs.
Yeah.
That guy is probably going to jail. I'm talking about like harmless guy, but guy who you're like, oh my God, please go to another bar or we're going to have to. Like the guy who's just at the bar and you've had a couple drinks and you're in a good spot. Like you've had like 2 or 3 drinks. Things are good. The vibe's good. And then this guy's like, all right. Shots of Jaeger bombs over here. And you're like, oh my God, man, I'm good. I don't want to have to go home and then feel like I'm going to die for the next 2 days. Like I'm 36. I'm not 20 anymore. Like I can't do this. And you are 40. Like it's over, man. Have like 6 Bud Lights because there's 1% alcohol in them, and you can feel like you're still drinking a lot when in reality, really, you had like 1 IPA, and everybody's fine. Everybody's happy about this. It's the guy who just Jaeger, and I feel like it's always Jaeger bombs, Irish car bombs. It's always like Fireball, like the guy who's just like, they bring the whole bottle of Fireball over, and then he's like screaming at you if you take too long to take the shot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and you're always doing the cheers like, this is the good times and bro. It's like, okay, well, you know what? Good times ended the second you showed up, buddy. But thanks, man. So number 5, overly aggressive drunk guy at the bar.
That's a good one. And they always have they're always wanting to drink something that sounds like it would be a crime.
Yeah.
Like if the name of the drink would be an actual
Irish
crime.
car bomb.
Yeah. Fireball.
Yeah.
Any bomb, I guess. Vegas.
Those people
bomb.
are the worst. They're the absolute. Well, actually, there's 4 people who are worse. But we'll get to them in a minute.
That's true. This is just number 5.
That's number 5.
This is number 5. Number 5, I've got the well actually guy where you're just trying to have a conversation. They're like, well, actually, this is how it goes, or well, actually, this is actually how nothing's worse than a well actually guy who's actually wrong though too. If just like when you
always wrong.
Yeah, when you actually like no, you're not right. Like to interrupt every decent conversation with a well actually is awful. And sometimes I'll catch myself not necessarily like wanting to add something to a conversation. I'll be like, I don't want to be a well actually guy. So you know what? I'll just kind of let this be. I'll just let it be. You know, I'll just let this stay.
Yeah,
that's
fair. All right. So we got our number 5s out of the way. Number 4 for me is rec league athlete who thinks he's a pro athlete.
Gosh, that is so good.
That guy is the absolute fucking worst. It could easily be number 1. Like, there's nothing worse. Now, I don't play pickup basketball these days. I did in college, but since then, I'm going to play pickleball. I'm going to play hockey. Whatever. There's nothing worse than the guy who just constantly believes he's a way better athlete than he actually is.
Right.
You know, like I've since college, not often, but like I'll play every once in a while. Like I'll fill in as like a rec league softball or rec league baseball, whatever. Although not these days, my back's some trash. But like back in, even a couple years ago, and you get people who are just like, I'll tell you what, if that guy throws me a ball on the outside part of the plate, I'm going to go Oppo Taco, over the 360 sign. It's like, were you going to take that pitch in the outfield?
Right.
Like, you're not doing anything. You're lucky if you get the ball over second base, man. Like, we're all washed at this point. Like, oh, no. And I feel like you see a lot of that. Like, where I go to my gym has a couple of basketball courts. Every once in a while, I'll go in there and just like get a good laugh, especially on the weekends. And there's like big time pickup games.
Yeah.
And there's always, you can just spot the guy a mile away. Headband, multiple wristbands.
Uh-huh.
He won't pass. Yep. He's constantly calling out, all All right, gotta switch, man. Gotta go from man to zone. You're like, you're at the Y, bro. Like, most of these people aren't even running the full length of the court.
Right.
They're just kind of standing around the 3-point line, and that's all they really do. They go from 3-point line to 3-point line. Like, they're not going to really make this a big thing. And you're calling out a 1-2-2 zone matchup. And I got to tell you, I don't think anybody's enjoying being on your team as you dribble up the court and then try to call your own number 9 times out of 10 possessions.
Yeah.
No, and you can do it for any sport, but basketball is kind of the stereotypical one. But yeah, those people are terrible.
Slow pitch is a good one though too, because I feel like a lot of slow pitch players, like you'll see, they'll show up in their in their baseball pants, and you're like,
high school, they're eye black.
Right. It's like,
they almost made my JUCO team. That's great. Congratulations.
Man, what are we doing, dude? Yeah, that's a good one. We sometimes so Tara was playing in corporate challenge. It's gonna be a story for this here. Corporate challenge is like kind of like rec league for all these like corporate businesses in Kansas City. And there was one guy that Tara had on her team when they were playing flag football who took it incredibly seriously. He was wearing leggings underneath the shorts. He had like the cleats. I think he had a quarterback wristband on, if I remember correctly. And like, cause he wanted to show people the flag football plays. And he took this very seriously. And I think that's another sport that can kind of get away from people. It's like, yeah, I was on my high school JV team and I played left guard. So I'm definitely the best player in this flag football team right now. That's a good one. My number 4 is I have the guy who's always late. And that is like when you're like in college, you're like, he's just always late and it's funny. But then when you get to like be an actual adult and like it's not as funny anymore, right? You're just like, all right, well, now we got to tell this guy that the event starts 45 minutes ahead of when it's supposed to, so he gets here on time.
Tell the game starts at 6.
Yeah, and then he might show up at 7:15. And that look, I think that everyone thinks of somebody when you think of the person who's always late. I think that's a pretty general one. But I do think it's no longer a quirky behavior once you hit the age of 26 even. Like I feel like once you're like that old, you should probably have some proper time management. It's just kind of rude,
See, you know what? I will air myself out here. I'm not the guy who shows up that late, but I am always the guy who's showing up like going 100 miles an hour to get somewhere because I'm like, oh God, I'm 5 minutes late and I got to make up for it. So I'm just gunning it. Like every time I get like a court for a pickleball game, I'm always the one who shows up. Like if it's 9 o'clock, everybody else gets there to stretch out at 8:50. I show up at 8:59:50. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like I just run. I'm probably the only player in the whole facility, the whole club that never warms up because I'm just constantly late. Yeah. Like, would you like to warm up? I'm like, no, don't have time. Let's just play.
Yep.
So yeah, that probably explains why I have 8 different things wrong with me. All right. By the way, real fun circus. Your story about flag football jogged the memory. When I was in college, I actually worked for the radio and the TV station, but I predominantly worked for the TV station, the campus TV station. And we played for the Golden Pitcher every year, which was just this plastic pitcher, spray painted gold that was broken, and we just chugged beer out of. But in any event, it mattered. And we would always do flag football. And like it was one of those things, man. It was a Saturday morning, like the dew was on the grass. It was like, we're just gonna go out and have some fun, knock down a couple of beers. It's always the end of the semester. You're unwinding, you're getting ready to go back to wherever the hell you're going for the summer. And there was, I don't care, I'm going to air this guy out by name. I hope he somehow hears it. There was a guy who played for the radio station, and he had the classic, like, he wasn't a big guy, but he acted like he was a really big guy.
Yeah.
And Doug Meister. That was his actual name, Doug Meister. I swear to God. If you're out there, Doug, screw you. So, like, we played, and he was just like insanely intense about it, like to the point that you're like, what is going on? I remember one of our techs from the TV station was like, look, I don't care that it's flag football. I'm gonna drill him. Yeah. And he caught a pass and went down the sideline and started to do some like little shimmy, and my buddy just hammered him. I mean, hit him like Brian Cook with a full head of steam. And it's great because it's flag football. You're not expecting to get hit like that. Right. So you don't even brace for it. You're just like, oh, he's not going to actually do it. And then just boom, just 5 yards out of bounds, man. Screaming, calf balls getting thrown at people.
Right.
Cooler heads prevail. But yeah, no, they're definitely, that is true, man. Flag football
Brings it out.
It does bring it out.
Uh-huh.
It does. All right, let me think here. Number 3, I just say wedding guy. And
Yeah.
if you've ever been to a wedding, you know exactly the guy I'm talking about. Like, you are there to celebrate the best day in somebody's life, right? It's not about you.
Right.
As painful as that is for some people to accept in their lives, every single moment, not about them. This is about your buddy. This is about your friend. This is about your cousin, whoever. Like, this isn't about you. But then there's that guy who's like, guess what? Now it's about me. And ladies, if you're out there listening, don't think I'm letting you off the hook. You do it too. Okay.
True.
These women who show up and they're like, I'm just going to have a spritzer. And then there's 7 rum and cokes in and it's a disaster. And they're like, why aren't I married yet? They're crying at the table.
Oh, yeah.
Those people at weddings are the worst. It is such an easy time to have a good experience. Like, go have some drinks. It's on somebody else. You get all this free food, right? Like, big deal. You gave them $100 in a card. You're still making out all right. Like, you're doing good. Everybody's having a good time except for like the parents of the bride and groom who had to spend 30 grand for this thing. Like, everybody else is having a good time. And here you are next to that guy who's just doing 12 shots of tequila and is now throwing up all over the dance floor. And they got to stop the electric slide because Johnny just threw up all over himself out there. And I'm also, those people, they are the absolute worst. By the way, shout out to my wife who I'm airing out everybody, who one time, this was before she was with me, went and sprained her knee on the dance floor and was out of work for 6 weeks because she just got too out of control and
That is incredible.
went to do a dip with like her boyfriend at the time, blew her knee out. Like, I would have paid any amount of money to have seen that, any amount of money. So I think those people, yeah, they're just sometimes you see the train wreck coming and it's kind of funny, but then it gets to a point where you're like, it's not funny anymore, man. Like, you're kind of ruining this person's wedding. And unfortunately, I feel like those people exist far more than they should.
I do think that you make a good point about this. We keep saying guy, but guy is a gender neutral term here because they can go.
It's very gender neutral. Yes.
Yeah, they can go both ways. Look, I've seen the aggressive girl drunks though too that you've talked about,
especially at the weddings.
Oh yeah,
especially at the weddings. The girl who also let's say it, ladies. Let's be honest. Sometimes shows up, and it's like it's almost in the back of their minds. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be like, oh, like, I'm happy for her. I'm really happy for her. But you can see it in their face. Like, no, you're not. You're not even a little bit happy for her. And this is all going to be about you after the 9th mimosa. Like, we all know what's coming.
My number 3 is the no situational awareness guy. Like when you're at a stadium and you're sitting in not really like the end. You're closer to the end of the row than the middle. And you got a guy that walks right in front of you to walk all the way to the opposite end where he could have just walked in on the other. Like no situational awareness there. The guy who just, maybe it's like a main character syndrome, right? Where they think that everyone needs to like cater to like what they're doing. But no situational awareness of like balls in play. Maybe let's not walk out in front of everybody right now. What I do enjoy at hockey games is like pucks in play. They're not going to let you walk out there. And that's good. Because I don't want people walking out in front of me during that. But no situational awareness. It goes to more than just sporting events. But you got to have some situational awareness when you are, in life. But that's my number 3. Matt, number 2 for you.
We're getting down to the nitty gritty now.
Yeah, we are.
Number 2 is people who can't drive.
Bad drivers.
It just, I cannot stand people who, when they're at a green light at an intersection and you're in the turn lane and they stay right at the line that, like, if it turns red, you have to stop at. I forgive everybody, forgive the French, get your fucking ass in the intersection so that if it starts to turn yellow and red, like, you are in the intersection. You still have the ability to turn. Right. So that we're not just jamming up the entire lane because you're too much of a moron to figure out that you're actually supposed to go as far as you can go. It is people that do that, people who are on the highway who have no concept of like, oh, the exit, there it is. And it's like, did you not know the exit was 2 miles away when you saw all those damn signs? And then they got to cut across 8 lanes of traffic. Like, those people are the worst. I cannot stand people that when they've got to make a turn, whether it's onto a road or into a driveway, they've got to go 3 miles an hour to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not driving a semi, champ. Just turn the car. Like, what is wrong with you? And you're making me take my time. This is why I'm always late to pickleball, because I got to wait for these damn people, or people who see 30 miles an hour as a speed limit and are like, I can't go more than 30.
Yeah.
You can go 40. You're fine. You're fine. You're not going to get arrested and yanked out of your car and beaten with a tack hammer. You're okay. Like, I promise you it's okay. Or the person who, like, if it snows a little bit, they drive like they're going up the side of Everest.
Right.
Like, guys, if you're that terrified of it, don't get in your car.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying to go 70 if it's a blizzard, but like, it's a dusting. It's one of those dustings where like the snow melts as it hits the ground, and these people are they're just 10 and 2. They're just clutching the wheel. Like, you're the worst. You are the worst. It drives me nuts. People that cannot park are another one. These people who park, and it's like, those 2 lines. Try to hit the middle of them.
Yeah.
And this guy, I actually make it a point to do this to these people now. When I go to the grocery store and you get these people who park with like one of those lines like bisecting their car, like they take up 2 spots intentionally.
Yeah.
So like, oh, my sob is so important that I don't need anyone near. I take shopping carts and put them all around their car. I hate those people. Hate them. I hope a gust of wind comes and you have 6 scratches on your car. They are terrible, especially if it's a really crowded like area. Like, okay, there's nobody there, fine, whatever. Yeah. But if it's like one of these deals where you're looking for a parking spot and some I was going to say a word I didn't think I'd say on this podcast. If some jerk parks like that, I'm done with it. I will put every shopping cart I can find around your car. So when you come back, I hope you have arms full of shit and you're like, damn it. Yeah. There's 9 carts that I got to get through. Oh, the worst. The worst. Learn how to drive your car.
That kind of goes into situational awareness, though, too, a little bit.
It does. Yes, those people I feel like are somewhat one to say.
They don't have any situational awareness. Number 2, I have billionaire owners of a global digital sports platform.
It feels very, very aggressive, very targeted.
I don't know who that could be, possibly, but
is this someone you said might have been a terrorist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Google global digital sports platforms, and you might be able to find out billionaire owners or CEOs. His title might actually be CEO. I mean, this type of person's title might be CEO. Anyway, that's my number 2. What's your number 1, Matt? This is for all the marbles right here. Number 1.
Try how I can word this so I get myself in trouble.
Family, no.
Yeah, yes, all my significant others, like friends / their husbands. And I don't mean so I'm very fortunate. Most of my wife's friends are actually really cool. I have had girlfriends in the past that it's not been the case, and you're like, oh my God, you want to hang out with Mandy? Really? Oh yeah, let's go to the Devils game with me. I'm like, oh my God, can you sit next to her?
Yeah.
Because I just can't talk about nail polish for 4 straight hours. I just can't do it. And that's all she's going to talk about. And that's great. That's fine. But like, not with me, please. It's like if I sat her down and talked about World War II for 4 hours, like she'd throw herself off the upper deck. I'm very lucky with my wife's friends. I am not as lucky with their husbands, depending on who they are. Okay. They are like, I actually had a conversation with one of them years ago, and he was arguing with me. He knew what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, and he was a fan. I won't say what fan because I'll give it away. But if my wife ever somehow hears this, she'll know who he is. Fan of a team, not the Chiefs. Fan of a team, and he was just like, well, I think they're going to do this, and this is how I think they view this guy. And I was like, well, look, man, actually, like, I know the general manager of that team. I can just tell you, like,
right,
that's not how they view him. Oh no, I think that's how they view him. I think you're wrong. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's fine. I know the guy. Like, I literally talk to the guy probably twice a week. No, so I got to the point, like, we were at a brewery, and I finally was like, hey, man, you want his phone number to call him and ask him? Like, do you want to ask him? Like, here's his phone number. And he's like, oh, well, all right, yeah. I mean, maybe you're right then. I'm like, maybe I'm right then. Like, that's like if somebody works in engineering and I was like, I think your math's wrong, bud.
Yeah.
Let me take a shot at this load-bearing wall that if it collapses, 1,000 people plunge to their death. Like, I went to math when I was in 9th grade. I got a pretty good idea. I know how to convert a fraction. I'm good. Like those people, I feel like the wife, in my case, my wife picked very good friends. The friends just picked terrible husbands.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you go hang out with these people, she of course gravitates to hang out with her friends, right?
Right.
So then
right.
you're stuck with the husband.
Yep.
You're like, oh my God, man. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't argue. And they all know what I do. So I think it's like, you feel like it's almost an obligation, like a man card thing. Like, I could talk sports with you and that's cool. Like, I'm down to talk sports, but if you're completely ignorant to it, please don't.
Yeah.
Let's talk about anything else. Like, I don't want to sit here and talk about the Bears, which I get a lot of being in the area that I live in.
Right.
And it's like, you don't even know who's on the team. Like, what do you think about the quarterback this year? I'm like, I think he's still got his fucking arm, so he's probably decent.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, do we have to go through this again? We just did this a week ago at dinner last week.
Right.
Please don't. And then they're like, hey, man, you want to go out and play golf? I'm like, no, I don't. Because then I'm in a cart with you for 4 hours and I can't get away.
Yeah.
I might run myself over with the golf cart. So, yeah, I mean, in my case, my wife's friends' husbands, the worst people.
Mm.
My wife
That's a
is
very
texting me
solid
as
one.
we speak. I feel like she's like got the live stream up. She's like, hey.
Okay, chill. I always hate that too, especially when people when they find out what I do. They're like, "Well, let's talk about the Chiefs." I'm just like, I do that for my job. I don't really want to do that right now. But I will say I've been fortunate with Tara's friends and their significant others. But nothing's worse when
God bless you.
yeah, I know. I've been fortunate. I can't complain too much. But there's always that one time when like there's like a new boyfriend that joins the group, right? And you're like, "Oh, do you like sports?" And he says, "No." And she's like, "Oh, so
that guy.
what do we talk about then? Like what are we supposed to talk
What
about?"
do you do for a living? Oh, I'm in finance. Oh, great. Well, I'm gonna go now drink bleach.
Yeah, that's awesome. But strong list from you, Matt. Do very good list. My number one's Aaron Rodgers.
This is a human being.
Just Aaron Rodgers. This kind of fits in with my number one from last week of being Urban Meyer. So my last two number ones being Urban Meyer and Aaron Rodgers are great. But to recap, number 5 for Matt, I have aggressive drunk/drinker. Number 4, Rec League Pro. God, those people are the worst. That's a good pull by you there. Wedding guy, yeah, very well could have been. I think Rec League Pro might be low, truthfully, but you got some pretty strong ones ahead of you. Wedding guy at number 3, bad drivers at number 2, and significant others, friends, husbands at number 1. That's a strong one for me. Always, actually, guy at number 5. Always late guy at number 4. No situational awareness guy at number 3. Number 2, billionaire owners of a global digital sports platform at number 2. And number 1 is Aaron Rodgers.
Fair.
Strong lists from both of us here.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I got a lot of people I could name in those lists. I mean, really, I could go with a lot of different routes, but we'll stick at that so I don't get in too much trouble with my wife.
It's fair. Leave your guys' list in the comment section as well. I'll get in there and I'll rate your list. I'll give them out of a scale of 1 to 10. I will rate how good your list is. Also, leave recommendations for what you want us to power rank next time. I do think college mascots will be in the hopper, but this one was too good to refuse for this episode. But appreciate you guys listening all the way to the end of the podcast. We know this wasn't a very jam-packed, loaded football edition. We'll have a pretty jam-packed loaded football edition on Wednesday, I assume, leading up into the NFL draft. This one was kind of a cleanser for you guys, as we did talk a little bit of football. You can't say that we didn't talk football because we did do it, and we let you kick up your feet a little bit as we head into the NFL draft and the Easter weekend. So, Matt, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No.
Good. For Matt Verderame, I'm Tucker Franklin. That's going to be that football show for this week. Thank you to our sponsors, Ben Holiday, Bottled in Bond Bourbon. Go check out the Therese Paler benefit raffle that we are doing. Go check that out. Link is in the description as well. Givebutter.com/KCSN draft if you want to learn more about that and to get your tickets. We appreciate you all. We will catch you guys next week.